us, the Ravens players. Flexi is someone who's been around the scene for
longer than
actually
me.
years now.
That says something.
And a lot longer than me. Yeah, but there's probably 6-7 players on this Hungary team that are like top tier. You know, they're really good players.
For sure.
But this Turkey team, as I've been spouting constantly, has 10 to 15 really good players. So we need to see some real star performances from Hungary to sort of balance out that the imbalance of skill.
And it's not only that Turkey plays well; it's also the fact that look at this. I know that the Ravens guys wanted to stomp the Turkish players, but they're at like a 1-5 deficit in this right now. They're somewhat outnumbered. We'll see what they can do though, because the action is taking place and it's over in South Georgia. You can see it right here. Iro is there, Lips, and a lot of the really top tier players on the Turkish teams have managed to find themselves inside the South Georgia Bowl, but so has the Hungarian. So I think whatever teams wins this skirmish up in Georgia Bowl might actually also end up winning the game, because there are a lot of very good players on both sides here.
Sometimes in these sort of situations, it's not about escaping it. It's about out-trading the other team. You know, Hungary are in a big disadvantage here. It's what, like 6-7 players versus 10-15. But if they can continue to get these individual knocks, if they can out-trade versus the other team, and at least let the Hungarian squad go with an advantage into that phase 2, phase 3, then they open the opportunity for the rest of the team to win the game overall. But it's all of Hungary's best players.
Oh my God, Iro, he was waiting for it. He knew it was going to be right around the corner, and he took him out. And, well, I mean, if you're Hungary now, you lose one player. Now, you know, Iro's around. I don't think it's going to be easy to get away. You can see Giga taken down here as well. But the circle, if you take a quick look at it, has gone really, really far east. Actually, pretty much the same as we saw in the first game. And you just want to get out of here. I mean, look at this. You want to get out of here.
At this point. If I'm the players on the Hungarian team here, my only thought is getting kills.
Honorable kills. Honorable death.
You're not going to get out. So you go down fighting.
Die in the field of battle. That's
as long as they can. If they kill more than they lose.
Yeah, they just need to be a bit of a roadblock essentially for these guys, because it's going to be a tough rotation for any of them. And also, I'm a little surprised to see why they split it the way they did. I think they thought maybe Turkey would take the southern side of the map and they would take the northern, but normally you see that, I mean, the team will stick to either one side. But here, I mean, there's Hungarian players now over the entire map except for military.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the initial plan for Hungary was to take South George, and then they noticed just how many Turkish players had dropped there.
Yeah,
and they thought, maybe that's not a good idea. And it just moved the rest over. And it does actually look like they're going to get that circle control.
I mean, they are. There's not a single player from Turkey inside the circle currently. And also, they know there's military players there, so maybe they could hold them off too.
If this Rosok group can move in before the Pachinki players, before the Western Turkish players, if they can get in front around that shelter in the dirt road area, then they can properly control where Turkey goes. And as you were saying, all those people on MİLLİ Island, I expect they'll take the Western Bridge to stay safe, because if they go over that Eastern Bridge, they are all dead. Yeah,
you would assume they also are well aware that there are opponents on the other side. Now, Iro is still inside the house. He must have heard this. No, maybe no. I would think that, he must hear the steps. He must hear them outside. And even though he's not making any sound, he's giving the info to Lips, and he knows exactly where he's coming. You can see him holding the angle, but I think it's Mega saw him as well, and he's going to be able to get the knock and the flush. Iro is not really in a position to help. I thought he was going to be able to do more from where he was. Now he does, but that's
the nade's coming out from Iro. He can land this perfectly. PSD gets that massive tag on Dame Race. Doesn't quite take him down though. So at the minute, Hungary is at advantage. They have taken down 2-1 so far. If they can keep that up, it's a win. It's not like in squads where you drop 4 here and you all die, and then that's your game over. If you drop 4 here and you get 6 kills, even if all 4 of you die, you're at an advantage going into the next circle. So
also, I like how they're playing this now. They've kind of contained Iro over to the west alongside one other player, and you can see they're being held from the east, but I don't think the Hungarian players have any thoughts of rotating out east. I mean, if they wanted to, they could rotate all the way around the rest and go south over towards the circle, even rotate up to North George to go to the friends in Yasnaya. So right now, as you said, oh my lord, Flexi, that's a headshot from a distance.
And now the flush is just going to come in. There's nothing Turkey can do about it. So 30-28 in favour of Hungary. But realistically, none of these players can escape because there's no vehicles that they can get to. But if they're going to keep getting these kills, then it's looking like a bit of a mistake for Turkey. But we did see in round 1, Turkey were able to come back from a 9-player disadvantage. So only a 2-player disadvantage is a cakewalk.
Never ever count out the Turkish in this tournament. As we talked about earlier, they are the the winners to beat for all their teams. But looking at this scares me a little, because last game, or the first game of the last round, I guess I should say, where Turkey had a very similar situation and a very similar circle, they were allowed to rotate down to farm and push around that way. If Hungary has done anything to do like those 5-minute research on what they were doing last games, that's something they would look to like prevent.
Even then, you don't necessarily need to do research. But, you know, BSD goes down, so that's the 3-player advantage now for Hungary. Once the first, literally 1 HP, but he actually...
Blue circle.
I thought he just got killed by nade or something.
Nope.
I didn't even realize the blue was there, but they get another knock as well. And the rest is going to come in, so they're going to survive.
It's going to be able to go back up. Gluteny goes down as well. BSD is going to be out, and you can see all the Turkish players, they've dipped. There's nothing to come for. Slippy is going to run. He does have a buggy over there. Should be able to get on over to his teammates. And now the next task, I guess you can say, is coming for these remaining Hungarian players is how do we regroup with our teammates?
And it does look like it's been a bit bad for Turkey. You know, the 30-26 in favour of Hungary, but none of those Hungarian players in South George have a vehicle. And they're what, 3 kilometers away from the circle.
They can take a boat and sail to Razak, hopefully find a vehicle. I mean, honestly, they can take boats and go to Yasnaya and regroup with their teammates there. Because I don't expect. I mean, you can see Turkey is actually doing a good job at not only taking all the costs for themselves, but also preventing any vehicle rotations out from those remaining Hungarian players. But they might actually be better off taking a boat spawn up towards the crates area. There's usually a boat spawn up and around there, and see if they can make their way towards the circle. Because if they keep running east, they have got to be aware that there's no circle. And right now, for the Hungarian players inside the circle, you better damn set up a perimeter.
It does look like they're just going to try and run it. So I'm just looking at that and thinking, I don't think any of those players would be able to make it to the zone. I mean, unless they find vehicles. I would surprise
that, yeah.
But if I'm those Turkish players, I'm clearing out that entire area, popping tires if I'm not taking the vehicles. And because even though they've lost 5 players already in that gunfight, there's what, 7, 8 Turkish Hungarian players there.
And as we talked about as well, it's a lot of the very good players. Like I mean, fracking power alone, a lot of the very talented players on the Hungarian team are the ones that are currently trying to get out of the blue. And running down towards crates, I think is a big misplay. They knew there were people around there, and they should be aware that there's no vehicles in that area at all.
Well, I like what Hungary is doing here. They're taking the power positions in this circle. We spoke about how shelter was sort of a bit of a rough position to take. We see that Hungary has just left it. They're not interested in, apart from the 2 players that are driving to it in a minute, but they're taking these compounds. They're going up to heaven as well. So they're taking all of the central circle pretty much. If they can get some into mansion as well, then it becomes really rough for Turkey to do anything except play the south.
Yeah, Turkey would essentially have to push underneath prison, but there are still what seems to be 5 players down and around... or in and around Milta. They would have to cross up, but it seems like Turkey might actually be able to cut them off here.
It's all about really where those players go. I would expect they're just going to go all the way east, maybe try and take the sort of red mansions to the east of prison, or even go all the way up to the hill. I mean, I would go up to the hill if I could. I think so, but it looks like they're going to stop. And
they're chilling, maybe just regrouping. I mean, they are split. They are spread quite thin down towards Pochinki, so set up a perimeter, wait for that next circle to pop in 20 seconds, and then you can... we'll get a little breathe in and try and figure out what the game plan is going to be, because I think right now they're just waiting. It seems like none of the guys towards the west has found vehicles yet, so we might not necessarily real soon because it's only phase 2, but we might start seeing some names pop up in the kill feed soon.
One thing worth pointing out is that the more circles behind you are in the blue zone, the more damage it does. So now they're actually taking more damage than they would.
Look at how massive this is in terms of the game too. There's so many players they have alive that they cannot utilize at all.
And this is where maybe the Turkish players are just going to try and crash those southern compounds. If they can work out that it's only sort of 4 or 5 players there, if they can just do like a 10-player crash, that it might actually work out.
Why is it always MİTHRAİN who's around a vehicle that's either taking damage or upside down? It's starting to make more and more sense why he always has a driver. It's maybe we shouldn't allow him to be near vehicles by himself.
Pubg going for those shots, can't quite land any tags. He gets a couple eventually, but the Hungary players are able to escape.
That was the players that were coming from up over prison. They actually managed to make it out.
And I'm looking at that circle, and Turkey just has no map control. Hungary have the power positions that I was talking about earlier on. They have the mansion, they have the heaven, and those southern compounds. So realistically, Turkey needs to find something to crash. But now we see some of those blue zone deaths coming in. The players on the west, still no vehicles. Some of them are all the way up to Pochinki, and there's just no cars whatsoever. You can see them on the map now.
I think OMG has found a car. You can see him like pushing back towards Esmegas. And that's essentially what he wants to do, just taxi people back and forth towards the blue, but it's just so damn far away, and it's a lot of players who are out there too.
I want to say 8 or 9, and we've already seen 2 deaths.
That's
so
1/3 of their army.
Yeah, we're looking at actually full third of the Hungarian roster is dead.
Very, very... Can we make like a really quick flyover of the west coast from South George down towards, like down to the coastline? Because they were running straight into the area where players were coming from. There's got to be boat spawns. There's got to be... There must have been a better plan than running, like backtracking, essentially, the Turkish teams. They've got to know that those vehicles would be gone.
I don't think they were quite thinking ahead and thinking, you know, the Turkish players took the vehicles in South George.
There's a buggy. Look to the left.
Well, that's 2 people.
Race.
You're not seeing it.
Okay, then you just don't deserve it. If you don't even see the 2 buggies... Oh, now he does it. No, does he? No? Hello?
But already, they're just losing players left, right, and centre. They've already lost 2 to the blue.
They're all dead. That was a driver right there, OMG. That was a driver.
There's no first aid,
13 bandages. He can still heal through it for now, but...
not anymore.
Yeah, there's...
Phase 4 pops, and they are 3 circles behind now. They are all dead.
This is a big mistake. They should have run to the west coast, in my opinion. Look at the... I like this flank around from both Sixmo and from Genso and Beautiful Death as well. These guys are all dead.
They're all dying.
That's just Hungarian players not making it in.
You look at this circle. There was nothing for the Turkish players to play. They need to find an aggression.
2.0.
But what I'm sort of seeing here is if they can try and push on the north of Mansion and get control of that at least, they're going to take out half of what's left of the Hungarian roster.
We'll have to see if that forest comes in as a benefit for the Turkish, or if it becomes well, I mean, an area they'll get pinned inside. Now, Heaven is in still, but as you can see, it's in the very corner. So essentially, you'd see all the Hungarian players at some point maybe push into Mansion, unless if this circle goes southeast, that's where it would get extremely difficult.
And all these players on the north, the Hungarian rosters, have spotted the people in the forest now. The Turkish players trying to flank. So now it's all about trying to survive for the DA players, for Polanaruk, for Genzo. You know, where do they go? There's not really anything they can play on that north unless they can make a successful push onto the Mansion.
I have to... I'm very curious to see this next circle, because it could potentially be make or break. But then again, I mean, we've seen Turkey, and that's where I have more faith in Turkey. Be in positions where they don't have that compound, where they don't have that position, and still be able to outplay their opponents, despite them being in the worst position.
But the kill feed is going the way of Hungary at the minute. A lot of those northern players starting to get knocked, starting to die out. Turkish players do have control of the Kingwin dip. Right in the middle of the circle is probably the best position outside of the sort of the south of the Mansion, left in this circle. But there's only so much you could do. There's only sort of enough room for about 3 or 4 players there.
I mean, they do have, what, 13 or 15 vehicles, so they could make quite a decent fort, or like a wall around there if they wanted to. Now, more players are rotating up towards the forest on the eastern side. You can see all these, I mean, 2 of 3 positions that the Hungarians have are either on the edge or almost outside of the circle.
And I think this is the push that's going to win or lose the game for Turkey here. If they can take out at least a 1-for-1 trade on these players in the Mansion, it doesn't matter if they necessarily lose the fight, because they already have that player advantage. As long as they can get the trades, as long as they can do a lot of damage to this big congregation of the Hungarian players, then you have to look at the rest of the sort of the control of those Turkish players in the middle of the map. I think that they have to be the favourites to win this game.
I would think so. I'll have to wait and see. Well, Derek, the outside. There are only 6 players, though, trying to hold that top. You can see Slippy is coming up to help now as well. Kalimdor is trying to push back towards his teammates. And they must know at this point, there's a lot of traffic on our eastern side, right, guys? Because none of them are moving in vehicles. And yes, you're shooting, but there's got to be vehicle sounds all over the place in that forest. And as you can see, too, the circle is pushing in.
It actually looks like they've sort of given up on it, because they're sort of ferrying the players back and forth.
Yeah.
They're trying to bring all the players down to the south now. It's sort of relying on that circle shift as we are actually where it's going to go. And it's just straight towards them.
Oh, that is massive.
But still, the southern Mansion area is going to be really strong. And if Hungary can at least get some good trades here, at least take out as much as possible of these eastern players,
they need to.
So they can play all around the Mansion, but they need to get that aggression going now.
And if not now, then 2 circles ago, because they just get shifted out from a lot of their players. They need to push out all their people in the Alamo on the western side. They need to, well, I mean, essentially play their entire team around 2 or 3 different positions, and it's so far in the open.
But this Western Alamo, they still have a couple of vehicles over there. I think that group could maybe try and make a push into the Kingwin dip, where we see only 1 or 2 players. Turkey are actually leaving the dip, so if the Hungarian players can get in, then it would be great. But actually, they're going to go all the way around to the Mansion. And it looks like we're sort of going to get a north-south divide here as Turkey has the dips and Hungary moves into the Mansion
And the funny thing is now that we're going to be so late in the game that flanks aren't really possible because the map is as small as it is. It won't really be easy to flank. We do have Pubg kind of by himself. He got left behind. Oh yeah, again. That is true. He is the hello, over here. Hello. You forgot one. Because the thing is, once you see one player, you have to expect there to be more, right? So if you can force their attention north and then allow for them to take even more space, that would be pretty effective.
This kill feed's looking very blue. As I say, that beautiful death gets killed, but the dip is sort of not really paying out for Turkey. The fact that Hungary has control of the southern mansion, has control of the sort of the high ground in the circle. It's not really high, but the higher ground is sort of playing to advantage. But these nades are perfect. But getting kills, and all of those players there are down, so they're not actually flushed yet. Actually, Hungary's down to about 15 players here.
Essentially, that was their push forward, trying to make the space, and now you can see how in Turkey they're just hard pushing off of it.
Pulideric sneaking. He's going to come right behind the compound. Whether he makes that aggressive play now, if he waits maybe one more circle, if he has some nades, he can use that to get some kills without really being spotted.
And this is the issue you just saw it with Bins there from Hungary. They're just caught out miles in the open. Like, they're way out there. No cover, nothing at all. Beautiful death managed thrown down. He does get naded. Next nade should be able to take him out as well. Well, Derek's still alive on the backside, but this is not easy for them at all.
I really like the patience from Pulideric here. He's recognized that at the minute he's just going to get that one-for-one trade, so he's just going to leave it, wait until that big group is in the open that he can use his nades to kill. But you can't leave it too late, because if the Turkish players in the center start to go down, then he's going to be left in a really disadvantaged.
They have no idea.
Perfect.
They have no idea. They're like, where does that nade come from? They have absolutely no clue. Pulideric, one more should be able to be thrown in. They have no clue that there's a guy behind him. Now he does get spotted and nades himself because of it. That sure as hell was unfortunate. But I like the idea. He gets the Molotov thrown in there too, actually. So the knocked player does go down to 2 kills for him. But unfortunately, it ends there. Now Circle shifts towards the southwest. And this one has Turkey written all over it.
Yeah, and although it looked like a bit of a mess, still a 2-for-1 trade is brilliant at the end of the day. The fact that Turkey already had the player advantage to make it an even bigger one for their team, and the fact that the circle now has shifted pretty much onto the central stack of the Turkish roster. I'm not sure what Hungary can do, bar if they can make a portable red zone with all their nades in the middle, maybe they can get some kills, but we just see they're getting ripped apart left, right and center. If they try and crash here, 2 more go down on that rock. Calendar and Rip going hard.
Yeah, I think they have something like 5 or 7 players left alive. There's so many knocked players on the Turkish roster, down to 13 now, and Turkey are starting to take control. The push comes around the western side for Hungary, and this is going to be the final stand.
Yeah, we just see this one tiny dip is all the Hungarian players have to play. They are getting some knocks still, so if they can at least try and take down the players, but meanwhile, Dog SRS is making a push on his own. Gets the 1 down, gets 2, I think, actually, but Hungary now is starting to come back. 11 to 19, it's still possible.
They're just sending it in, running people over. There's people everywhere, and right now, Turkey seems to be the winners of this, down by double digits. I was going to say 19 to 8 so far. Plenty of knocked players. I think it's only 2 or 3 left alive.
Slippy's coming in behind on the bike. He's going for the run over. He actually got 2, I think.
He's just plowing straight through. This is the cavalry that we've been waiting for, and I think we're down to only 1 player. I think it's just Span by himself left alive. It is 19 versus 1. What can he do? Finds 1, nothing more is going to come of it. Slippy with the victory lap there. Hungary out of game number 1. But then again, I guess we can argue that this was the map pick of Turkey. So of course they're going to win on their own map, right? Isn't that going to Counter-Strike? They're going to win on their own map.
Once again, for the 4th map in a row, we see a little disadvantage early game from Turkey turn into them just making a massive outplay.
Yeah.
And taking into a massive advantage. They were down, I think, 5 coming out of South George. But the fact that they took all those vehicles, shot out all the tires, meant they got like 10 kills for free.
To me, the biggest mistake wasn't something they did well. It was the fact that Hungary lost what was probably their death squad to the blue. Look at the circle. I mean, you saw it right there in the clip just before. They lost 7 or 8, did you count? I think 9 players.
It was 9, yeah.
To blue, where they, I mean, yes, I know it's heat of the moment and difficult, but they know that there's so many Turkish players to the east. They didn't have anyone before Yasnaya. They have got to expect those vehicles to be gone. Run to the west coast, get those vehicles, take a boat for crying out loud, and go to Yasnaya, recoup with your teammates, and try to make your way in. That would have been the better play.
That is quite possibly the biggest like come down. I was so hyped for Pladeric to get like a quad kill, get like a pentakill there.
Yeah, it could have been, could have been interesting.